Hey, Brian from SnakeBytes here. This time of the year we have a lot of baby snakes, which means we have a lot of problem feeders. We want to take a look at how we deal with those problem feeders and share our tips with you. You're watching SnakeBytes. As you guys can see, this time of year we have tons of baby snakes, and not all of them are powerhouse feeders like this chunky little lemon blast. Let me take you through the process of what we do to get a snake eating, and then what we do when a snake doesn't eat. What you have to understand first is that when a snake hatches, it's full of yolk from the yolk sac. That's going to really sustain them for about 7 to 10 days. Well, they're going to go through a shed cycle right about that time, so when they're about 10 days old, you're going to want to try to feed them. This little het albino just shed the other day. And what I'm going to want to do is take a little fuzzy mouse and just drop it in its cage and make sure to leave it in overnight, to just leave it alone and come back and check in the morning. When you come back in the morning, you want to make sure that it ate, and unfortunately, this guy still has a fuzzy in with it. But don't freak out, because a lot of animals will still be retaining a little bit of that yolk sac. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave this guy alone for 3 or 4 more days, put a live fuzzy in again. If it doesn't eat the second time, that's where we're going to move on to the next step. If you tried a second time and still no luck, your snake is about 2.5 weeks old now, it might be time to switch things up. Now, you gotta remember, when it comes to snakes, they're trying to eat a specific type of animal. Sometimes it's just a matter of changing up the scent. So we've tried mouse fuzzies, let's go ahead and move on to a rat fuzzy. We're gonna do the exact same thing. Open up the cage quickly, put the fuzzy rat in there, close the cage. I can't stress to you enough how important it is to just leave the animal alone, walk away for the night. That little fuzzy rat isn't going to do any damage to your snake. Let's just assume your snake didn't eat the rat fuzzy. Something that we've had a lot of success with here at BHB is to switch up to a different type of rodent, which is called an African soft-furred rat. These guys definitely have a different scent than a rat or a mouse, and they're from Africa, so it really works out well. We're going to take a fuzzy African soft-furred, we're going to throw it in overnight, just like we did the other ones. I tell you what, probably 80 or 90% of our finicky feeders are eating African soft-furs.
What species of snake does Brian have the hardest time breeding? Is it A, reticulated pythons, B, mandarin rattlesnakes, or C, boa constrictors? Answer with a comment and keep watching to see if you're right.
Still no success. This little guy's a little bugger. Now what you have to realize is it's probably about 3 or 3.5 weeks old now. You really could keep going this way, or you may want to take the next step. We typically at this point will start assist feeding. I'll show you exactly how we do that. Let me go get a fuzzy. I'm a believer that you never really force feed a ball python. It doesn't really help whatsoever. But if you can get them to assist feed where they're actually taking it down, it can kind of teach them that it's time to start eating. What I've got here is a fuzzy that's about the size of the snake's head. Now again, you have to be very gentle with the animal. I'm going to take you step by step exactly how I get an animal to assist feed. And again, I have tremendous success with this. And typically, once you've assist feed 2 or 3 times, the snake almost always eats on its own. Now again, very gently get it behind the head, and you can see the mouth is already just a little bit open if you're holding it, but again, I'm doing it really gently. And I just take the fuzzy and just slowly wedge it into the snake's mouth. Now it's going to eventually open its mouth, and again, you don't want to do this too much. And initially it's going to fight you and it's going to want to get away. I just push the fuzzy down into the back of its mouth, kind of get it hooked on the teeth a little bit. And again, the snake is going to fight you the whole way. But if you can just get it in this far and then let it crawl just a little bit in your hand, because initially it's going to want to try to spit it out. You want that to be when you're holding the animal. Once it's calmed down a little bit like this, really gently, just let that animal go down and leave it alone. Walk away from it really slowly. Now initially, the animal is going to probably still try to get rid of that mouse, but eventually it's going to say, you know what, it's in my mouth, I might as well eat it. We're going to continue to offer this snake food every 3 to 4 days and then assist feed it every 5 to 7 days until it starts feeding. What we've noticed is it usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks for an assist feeding animal to start feeding on its own. Now baby colubrids are a completely different thing than little pythons. They typically eat frozen thawed which is really awesome. So I have a frozen thawed pinky right here, and once these babies are 7 to 10 days old and have shed, I do the same exact thing as I did with the python. I just put this frozen pinky in, shut the cage, and leave them alone. I'll come back and check them later on to see if they've eaten. Now, I don't want to bore you with what we do over the next 7 to 10 days if they haven't eaten, but essentially what it is we keep trying frozen every few days. If they haven't eaten, we just go to a live pinky and leave it in overnight and see if they'll eat it. If that doesn't happen, I want to take you on the next step. Let's say this frozen pinky just is fresh thawed. I actually take a white cup and I'll put the pinky in the white cup and then put the snake in the cup and put the lid on it, cap it up, and leave it in overnight. A lot of times, for some reason, when that pinky is in that deli cup, it really makes a big difference with them eating. We'll repeat that with a live pinky. Now, if that doesn't work, we have to move on to the next step. If your live and frozen techniques just haven't worked, we have to do the same thing that we did with the ball pythons, which is just basically change the smell of the prey. In this case, we take a frozen thawed pinky and we dip it in things like these sardines or this fresh tuna. With corn snakes, they absolutely love lizards, so we always keep a handful of frozen lizards on hand. We thaw them out and just rub the pinky all over them. And truth be told, sometimes we actually split their stomach and put the pinky in their guts. The snakes absolutely love them. I would say 80–90% of the picky feeders will typically eat one of these techniques. But with corn snakes, it's not like ball pythons. You can't just assist feed them if they haven't eaten. Now these snakes are probably 3.5 to 4 weeks old and they have to have nutrition. I guess it's time for tube feeding. Because corn snakes don't assist feed the same way ball pythons do, and I'm really against force feeding the pinky down a little corn snake because it could be injured, the only real safe way to do things is to actually tube feed it. And because no one wants to grind up pinkies because it's really messy and nasty, we actually have a really cool solution. Believe it or not, it's ferret food. It's super high in protein, and if you feed this to a corn snake, it will literally grow as fast, if not faster, than a pinky feeder. So what we do is we just pour a bunch of them in a coffee grinder. Once it's a powder, we actually add a little bit of water to it because even when you puree it up like this, it's still really hard for it to get through this really fine needle. So again, just add some water and mix it up again. Once you have it all mixed up, I just pour it into a container. Then I'll show you guys how I tube feed. Once you have the ferret food and water solution in the syringe, you've got to be really gentle with the snake. Again, these are much more fragile than ball pythons, so you have to be really careful. Try to support its body and just get it as straight as you possibly can. And what I do is I just use the actual tip of the syringe to open its mouth and then slide the tube in very gently, making sure you're going down the esophagus and not the glottis. I just slide it down really super gently. Again, you've got to be really careful. You want this to go about halfway down the body so you can get past most of the vital organs. Now, we'll actually assist feed 1 cc of this food, and again, we're doing it extremely slow and extremely gentle. 1 cc is about the same gram weight as a pinky, which is what you basically want to do. Then I just slowly massage down right here so that we don't have anything coming up when you pull the syringe out. And I just really gently pull the syringe out. This guy's got about a pinky worth of ferret food in its stomach. Now the water solution helps a whole lot too because most snakes get a lot of hydration from their food. So by tube feeding it ferret food and water, we're not only getting some protein in it, which is going to make it grow, but we're also hydrating the animal, which is really important for a snake that's not feeding. A couple things to consider here that are very important is first, if you're going to tube feed multiple snakes, very important to make sure your tube is extremely clean. We always use alcohol between snakes so we're not passing any bacteria from snake to snake to snake, which is super important. And lastly, I can't stress this enough. I don't want you guys to go run out and buy a tube and start jamming it down snake's throat. This is a last-ditch effort. This is when the animal just won't eat anything else and we don't want it to die. And oftentimes we'll only have to tube feed it 2, 3, maybe 4 times and it thrives the rest of its life. So that's basically an overview of how we get snakes started and we take care of picky feeders. I hope this helped you out. With the latest internet sensation being that snake cake that looked just like a real albino Burmese python, and then a bunch of other really cool snake cakes that came right after it, we thought it'd be a great opportunity to share with you guys our creative culinary skills. So this is a competition where me and Lori, Chewy and George, and Sam and Josh are going to get together. The rules are we have 1/2 an hour to make these flat cakes into amazing snake cake. We have frosting, we have decoration, we have whatever it needs. Now the winner gets to eat the cake, of course. The loser is going to have to clean up. You guys ready?
Now the cake's falling apart.
Let's do it like this.
What the hell are you doing?
Here.
Why have I got the job of doing this?
I told you it has to be that way. Hey, don't let my dog eat the cake.
Don't let the dog eat the cake. Too late.
My snake's got a kink in it.
It's all right. We're not breeding it.
Throwing it.
I call this
Abstract.
abstract. We're gonna have a leucistic ringneck snake.
Shut up.
Okay, you got 15 minutes.
If you sabotage us by eating the orange ones, I will hurt you. What did you do to this?
Cake's looking good.
Look great.
What's that big purple thing?
Hen Dog had to look up to see what the snake looked like in the picture.
Our snake expert.
2 minutes.
It's dirt.
The whole thing is ruined now.
Oh, nice try.
1 minute. This ground is like a mess. 30 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Walk away! Walk away! You're disqualified.
Oh, shut up. You're just threatened.
The idea behind our cake is I want to make you think. There's a snake in this picture somewhere. You just have to pull it out of your brain and become an artiste like us. Right, George?
See, this is an apricot Pueblo milk snake, so it's got the red and the orange and the black. And I didn't have to look up a picture of one either.
We got a rock and some bushes and some grass there.
It's a nice little
2 hours.
snake diorama
It's,
going on
it's,
here.
it's clearly a superior cake.
All right, so what we have here is a Pueblan milk snake, not an apricot one with phony candies on it that looks like crap. And
White
the
eye.
idea behind this was
I have one upstairs.
to have a nice slithering snake that came out of a cave. So we have a cave here with some grass, and this
I
is
thought
the
that was
snake
supposed to
coming
be a
out.
rock, and then it was dirt.
You worry about your cake. All right, so now we're gonna bring in the judge to find out whose cake
the
is the
judge?
best.
Right here? This looks like poop. Aw, it's got eyes.
If you don't like it, we don't care.
So get the out of here.
Hey,
This one looks a lot like your face. I say this one.
yes!
Yes. All right, so I don't know about the
Let's see, you
results
got
here,
15
guys.
minute break.
I think I want to hear from you. Who was the coolest cake? Who had it? I think it was me and Lori, of course. These guys sucked. Look at it, it's a square-headed cake. Go ahead and comment down below and let me know what you think. For this week's Zoom Ed contest, we're going to be giving away a Reptifogger. You guys know I love this product. All you need to do is go over to Facebook, like both Snake Bites and Zoom Ed, and get this. Give me one word why you love reptiles. Make sure it's a real creative word, because there can only be one winner. Good luck, everybody.
Alright guys, I went and saw The Possession and House at the End of the Street, the new scary movies, and they are not scary. New horror films just aren't scary. Do you agree with me? Do you think they suck? Or are you an old school fan, kind of like me? What is your favorite horror movie? Is there anything you're looking forward to seeing? Leave a comment below and let us know.
So there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and some of these tips will help you if you ever have any problem feeding snakes. If you ever want to follow what's going on here at BHB and Snake Bites, make sure to hit us up on Facebook and Twitter at SnakeBytesTV. Until next time, you've been watching Snake Bites.
So what species does Brian have the hardest time breeding? Well, if you guessed boa constrictors, C, clearly you've been watching the show for a while. Nice work.
These are actually Sabu pythons, and they just are super, super cool. You can see the really bright eyes, and they're really beautiful. When they hatch as babies, they're bright red, amazing.
Oh my god. That thing bites hard. Alright, I'm done with you. You don't wanna with me no more.